the world is holding its breath. Israel and Iran are teetering on the edge of a full-scale war. Missiles flying, alliances shifting, and the global balance of power at risk. But here's what no one is telling you. Iran isn't standing alone. Behind closed doors, several nations, some expected, others shocking, are quietly offering support in the form of weapons, intelligence, and diplomacy. Is your country one of them? Let's find out. Number 10. Russia. Russia's backing of Iran in the Israel-Iran conflict marks a convergence of strategic interest and mutual opposition to Western influence. While not a direct participant, Moscow has voiced strong disapproval of Israel's airstrikes and has defended Iran's position in United Nations forums. This diplomatic cover is significant. Russia's veto power and its ability to shift global narratives give Iran space to maneuver on the world stage. Beyond words, Russia has reportedly provided Iran with advanced defense systems and technological cooperation, further tightening a bond that deepened during the Syrian civil war and the Ukraine conflict. From Russia's perspective, supporting Iran weakens U.S. leverage in the Middle East and reinforces a multipolar world where Moscow plays a central role. For Iran, the relationship brings access to military expertise and energy trade that helps offset sanctions. Western nations, especially the US and EU, have warned that this growing alliance could destabilize an already fragile region. Meanwhile, everyday Russians and Iranians may not feel the effects directly, but state media in both countries present the partnership as part of a broader resistance against external domination. As tensions rise, the question looms: will Russia deepen its involvement if the conflict escalates, or will it maintain calculated distance to protect its broader interests? Number 9. China. China's involvement in the Israel-Iran conflict is calculated, subtle, and quietly powerful. While Beijing maintains an official position of neutrality, it has consistently called for a ceasefire and criticized unilateral military actions, particularly those perceived to undermine regional sovereignty. Behind this diplomatic language, China has taken concrete steps to strengthen ties with Iran, from expanding trade under their multi-billion-dollar strategic cooperation agreement to shielding Tehran from harsher sanctions by offering alternative markets and financing. For Iran, China's economic partnership is essential. Amid Western sanctions, Beijing has emerged as a reliable lifeline, buying Iranian oil, supplying technology, and investing in infrastructure projects. While there's no public evidence of direct military aid, security cooperation in cyber defense and surveillance technology has reportedly increased. China's stance gives Iran not just material support, but global legitimacy. From the West's point of view, China's approach is deeply strategic, weakening American influence while portraying itself as a peace advocate. For everyday Chinese and Iranian citizens, the alliance feels distant but beneficial, tied more to trade and diplomacy than conflict. The world watches carefully. Will China continue to quietly prop up Iran, or step into a larger role that might redefine global alliances? Let's keep the momentum. Number 8 is next. Number 8. Pakistan. Pakistan's relationship with Iran in the context of the Israel-Iran conflict is subtle, deeply rooted, and strategically cautious. Officially, Islamabad urges restraint and promotes diplomatic solutions, avoiding any direct entanglement. However, beneath the surface, decades of religious, cultural, and security ties between the two nations continue to shape low-profile collaboration. Shared borders, economic exchanges, and coordinated border security operations reflect a quiet but ongoing connection, one that becomes particularly relevant during regional crises. Reports suggest limited intelligence cooperation and logistical alignment, especially in areas where both countries face common security threats. Iran, for its part, values Pakistan as a neighboring Muslim-majority state that refrains from overtly siding with Israel or the West. At the same time, Pakistan carefully balances this relationship to maintain its strategic ties with Saudi Arabia, the United States, and China, walking a geopolitical tightrope. For Iranian civilians, Pakistan's restrained but respectful stance reinforces a sense of regional support. For Pakistanis, the conflict remains emotionally charged, but diplomatically complex. International observers wonder, is Pakistan playing a stabilizing role in a volatile situation, or quietly enabling Iran while avoiding direct confrontation? In a region where alliances shift quickly, Pakistan's position may prove more influential than it appears. Onward to number 7. Number 7. Iraq. Iraq's position in the Israel-Iran war is complicated by its internal dynamics and external allegiances. Officially, Baghdad has called for de-escalation and respect for national sovereignty, distancing itself from active involvement. Yet within its borders, powerful Iran-backed militias, such as Kataib Hezbollah and Harakat al-Nujaba, have openly declared their readiness to support Tehran. These groups, deeply embedded in Iraq's political and security systems, receive financial and military backing from Iran and operate semi-independently of the central government. Their actions, including rocket attacks on U.S. installations and Israeli-linked assets, suggest that while Iraq as a nation may not take sides, actors within it already have. Tehran benefits from these militias, viewing Iraq as both a strategic buffer and a launch point for indirect pressure. Meanwhile, the Iraqi government faces growing challenges to maintain control without provoking internal conflict or external backlash. For the Iraqi public, the situation is divisive. Some support Iran's cause due to sectarian ties. Others fear being dragged into a war they didn't choose. For Iranians, Iraq represents both an ally and a liability. As this shadow war unfolds, one pressing question remains. Can Iraq stay neutral? Or has it already been pulled too far into Iran's orbit? Now, let's move to number 6. Number 6. Venezuela. Venezuela's support for Iran reflects a long-standing alliance shaped by shared ideology and economic necessity. In the wake of mounting sanctions, both countries have leaned on each other for survival, trading oil, technical expertise, and diplomatic support. During the Israel-Iran conflict, Venezuela's government has openly condemned Israel's military actions, calling for international accountability and expressing solidarity with Iran's right to defend itself. This vocal support is backed by years of quiet cooperation in areas like fuel exchanges, infrastructure repair, and military consultations. Tehran has helped rebuild parts of Venezuela's oil industry, while Caracas has hosted Iranian delegations and increased bilateral trade. Though Venezuela does not contribute directly to the military front, its backing amplifies Iran's international narrative and signals resistance to US-led alliances. Western powers view this partnership as symbolic but troubling, an example of how sanctioned states continue to find strength in unity. For Iranian citizens, Venezuela's alliance is a morale booster, a reminder that Tehran is not isolated. For Venezuelans, it reinforces a national identity built around defiance of external pressure. Still, the question lingers. Will Venezuela's role remain limited to diplomacy and trade, or evolve into something more substantial if the global divide deepens? Number 5. Yemen. Yemen's role in the Israel-Iran conflict is shaped by the Houthi movement, a powerful faction that aligns itself ideologically and strategically with Tehran. Over the years, Iran has been accused of supplying the Houthis with weapons, intelligence, and training, an allegation both parties deny publicly, but which is widely believed in international intelligence circles. The Houthis, in turn, have voiced support for Iran's stance and launched missile and drone attacks aimed at Israeli-linked targets, declaring solidarity with what they call a broader axis of resistance. This alliance has given Iran a proxy presence along the Red Sea, allowing it to exert pressure on shipping routes and Gulf nations, all while maintaining plausible deniability. Western nations, particularly the US and Israel, consider Yemen's involvement a dangerous escalation, fearing that it opens a new southern front in an already volatile region. For Iranian civilians, Houthi solidarity adds symbolic weight, but also invites the risk of broader retaliation. For the Yemeni population, already suffering from years of war and humanitarian crisis, involvement in the Israel-Iran conflict could mean further instability. The key question remains: is Yemen simply a proxy battleground? Or is it evolving into a permanent part of Iran's regional strategy? Let's move on to number 4. Number 4. Lebanon. Lebanon's position in the Israel-Iran conflict is defined by the presence and influence of Hezbollah, a powerful Shiite political and military group closely aligned with Tehran. While the Lebanese government maintains official neutrality, Hezbollah's leader, Hassan Nasrallah, has publicly expressed unwavering support for Iran, framing the current conflict as a shared struggle against regional and global oppression. Over the years, Iran has provided Hezbollah with financial assistance, weapons, and training, transforming the group into one of the most sophisticated non-state military forces in the region. As tensions rise, Hezbollah has increased its military readiness along Israel's northern border, issuing warnings that it will act if the war intensifies. This posturing forces Israel to divide its attention and resources, creating strategic advantage for Tehran. Western countries, particularly the US and France, have urged Lebanon to contain Hezbollah, fearing an all-out regional escalation. For many Lebanese citizens, especially those outside Hezbollah's base, the group's actions are a source of fear and frustration, risking national stability for external interests. For Iranians, Hezbollah's loyalty symbolizes enduring regional support. But as the conflict deepens, the question becomes, will Hezbollah remain a deterrent force or ignite a second front that drags Lebanon into a larger war? Next up, number 3. Syria. Syria's alliance with Iran remains one of the most enduring and strategically significant in the Middle East. Since the early 1980s, Iran has supported the Syrian government diplomatically, economically, and militarily, a relationship that only deepened during Syria's civil war. Today, Iranian military advisors, weapons stockpiles, and proxy fighters operate on Syrian soil, offering Tehran both logistical depth and strategic proximity to Israel's northern border. In the current Israel-Iran conflict, Syria's territory serves as a conduit for weapons transfers to Hezbollah and other Iran-backed groups, as well as a forward base for regional influence. While the Assad regime remains largely silent publicly, its actions, or lack of resistance, suggest continued cooperation. For Israel, this poses a direct threat, and airstrikes targeting Iranian assets inside Syria have increased sharply in recent months. Internationally, Syria's role is seen as both passive and pivotal, allowing others to act while avoiding direct entanglement. For Iranians, Syria represents a loyal foothold. For Syrians, the alliance ensures regime survival, but also prolongs dependency. The critical question: if the conflict escalates into open war, will Syria remain just a strategic launchpad, or be pulled into the center of the storm? Let's head into the final 2, Number 2 is North Korea. Number 2. North Korea. North Korea's support for Iran in the Israel-Iran conflict is shrouded in secrecy, but its impact is far from negligible. The two countries have shared a covert relationship for decades, built on mutual distrust of Western power, particularly the United States. Though Pyongyang has not made high-profile public statements, its state media has echoed Iran's narrative, condemning foreign aggression and calling for regional sovereignty. Beneath this surface-level diplomacy lies a deeper web of cooperation. Intelligence reports suggest North Korea has assisted Iran with ballistic missile development, cyber capabilities, and possibly dual-use nuclear technologies. Arms transfers, often through third-party actors, have enabled Iran to enhance its defensive and offensive capabilities, while providing Pyongyang with much-needed revenue amid heavy sanctions. For the West, this alliance raises alarms about weapons proliferation and global instability. For Iran, North Korea's assistance adds a layer of technological sophistication and symbolic partnership in resistance politics. Yet for the average citizen in either country, the benefits are abstract, while the risks of deeper isolation are very real. With nuclear tensions looming in both regions, the world wonders, is this alliance an unbreakable axis, or will pressure from global powers eventually drive them apart? Now, the final name on our list, and perhaps the most quietly strategic of all. Number 1. Algeria. Algeria may not be the first name that comes to mind in this conflict, but its support for Iran is quietly growing, especially in diplomatic and ideological spaces. As a leading North African power with a long history of anti-colonial politics and skepticism toward Western interventions, Algeria has taken a clear stance in favor of national sovereignty and regional self-determination. In the wake of Israel's strikes on Iran, Algerian officials issued strong condemnations and called for an immediate halt to what they described as unilateral aggression. While Algeria does not provide military aid or logistical support, it plays a vital role in shaping African and Arab League narratives. At international forums, Algerian diplomats have advocated for Iran's right to self-defense and opposed sanctions seen as unjust. In doing so, Algeria boosts Iran's legitimacy among non-aligned nations and helps shift global discourse toward a more multipolar vision. For Iran, Algeria represents ideological reinforcement and regional backing outside the usual Middle Eastern alliances. For Algerians, it's part of a broader foreign policy rooted in independence and principled neutrality. As the conflict stretches on, the question is clear. Will Algeria continue to shape the conversation from afar, or take a more active role in shaping outcomes? So now you know, Iran isn't fighting this war alone. These 10 countries are backing it in ways the world cannot ignore. But what does that mean for global peace? Are we heading into a new world war, or a geopolitical shift that changes everything? Comment below. Do you support any of these countries' decisions? Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, and share this video, because the world needs to know what's really happening.